Thank you for joining us. Today's press conference is dedicated to the ICJ advisory opinion regarding UNRWA. The presentations and later on the questions will be limited to this subject only. We'll start with a statement by the Foreign Minister Gideon Saar, followed by a presentation of Deputy Director General Amir Aihi, Vice Board for International Organization. The Foreign Minister, please.
Good morning. At this very moment, the International Court of Justice is beginning deliberations in another shameful proceeding against Israel. This time, its advisory opinion is sought regarding the matter of UNRWA, an organization infiltrated beyond repair by terrorism. Israel decided not to take part in this circus. It is another attempt to politicize and abuse the legal process in order to persecute Israel. The goal is to deprive Israel of its most basic right to defend itself. It is not Israel that should be on trial. It is the UN and UNRWA. The UN has become a rotten, anti-Israel and anti-Semitic body. Clear evidence shows that under the UN and its Secretary General, UNRWA employed terrorists who took an active part in the October 7 massacre. He then covered it up. The UN was created to make the world a better, safer, and more peaceful place, but it has betrayed its original, noble purpose. Instead of contributing to global order and stability, it undermines it. Instead of promoting peace and justice, time and again it does the opposite. This is exactly what is happening in The Hague as we speak. This case is part of a systematic persecution and delegitimization of Israel. It is abusing the international legal system and politicizing it. No country, democracy or non-democracy, has been brought before the court as much and as often as Israel. No country is subject to such double standards. Israel is a democratic country with a strong commitment to the rule of law, including international law. It has an independent judiciary and a robust military justice system. Its Attorney General is a participant in security cabinet meetings. Yet, this is the fourth proceeding relating to Israel in the court since the October 7 massacre. First, they used the court to spread the blood libel against Israel, that Israel is committing genocide. Second, they used the court to try and prevent Israel from obtaining the arms it needs to defend itself. Third, they tried to deny Israel's historic right to its ancient land. They tried to determine that what they call an occupation in our homeland is illegal. And now they are abusing the court once again to try and force Israel to cooperate with an organization that is infested with Hamas terrorists. And it won't happen. What do these all have in common? An attempt to deny Israel its basic rights, rights that every sovereign country has. Above all, the right to defend ourselves. On top of that, add the ICC's outrageous arrest warrants against Israel's democratically elected Prime Minister and former Defense Minister. The appeal decision last week proved that those baseless warrants were issued hastily. The court has no jurisdiction over Israel. Israel is not a member of the ICC or party to the Rome Statute. The warrants were issued unlawfully. They are null and void. The legal campaign against Israel is a well-oiled machine. It is a Palestinian campaign, even when other countries are on its cover. The goal is not justice. Israel's enemies weaponize the international legal institutions to try and render Israel defenseless. The ICJ is becoming completely politicized. Legal means are being used time and again to promote the Palestinians' political agenda. But the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will not be decided by courts. The ICJ is a part of the UN. In the General Assembly, you can guess the result of a vote based on the country and its politics. Israel doesn't stand a chance, no matter what is on the agenda. Also, when Israel's matters are brought to international courts, there is no connection to law and justice. It is completely politicized, even when the truth is on Israel's side. When this proceeding was initiated, the current Prime Minister of Lebanon, Nawaf Salam, served as president of the court, while neutrally judging in a case against Israel. Just moments before casting off his judicial robes, he called Israel an enemy state. This is the person meant to administer a fair and just trial. You can't make this stuff up. Shouldn't a judge with a bias recuse himself? We categorically reject the systematic legal persecution of Israel while it fights for its existence. Israel is the most attacked country in the world militarily, but also on the political and legal fronts. We will not grant any legitimacy to this farce. If the ICJ continues to be abused, like the ICC, for anti-Semitic purposes, it will lose its credibility and its legitimacy. The ICC is already there. The ICJ is on its way. The case being heard in The Hague this week is fundamentally distorted. It should be against UNRWA. Under the disguise of UN agency, UNRWA is a Hamas proxy. It completely betrayed its mandate. UNRWA employed over 1,400 known terrorists. Many of them took an active part in the October 7 atrocities. Just one example. Mohammed Abu Atawi was an UNRWA worker and a Hamas terrorist. He was caught on video participating in the murder and kidnapping of Israelis near Kibbutz Re'im, including Hirsch Goldberg Polin, may he rest in peace, that was kidnapped and afterwards murdered by Hamas. The UN must answer for these crimes. Secretary General Guterres is personally accountable. He knew what was going on in UNRWA. He knew very well, and he knows very well. Israel repeatedly warned him. He did nothing. He went out of his way to whitewash UNRWA. He continues to cover up the crimes of UNRWA and its terrorist employees. Israel, through legislation passed last year in the Knesset by broad consensus, made a clear decision. It will no longer cooperate with this shameful organization. Last week, the US administration took a clear stance. It clarified that UNRWA and its staff cannot hide behind UN immunity. We fully endorse this determination. They must be held accountable for their crimes. Israel refuses to sit on the bench of the accused in the UN's politicized circus. No country in this position would. It is the UN and UNRWA that should be on, not Israel. I accuse UNRWA. I accuse the UN. I accuse the Secretary General. And I accuse all those that weaponize international law and its institutions in order to deprive the most attacked country in the world, Israel, of its most basic right to defend itself. We will not let the truth go untold. The world must hear and know the real story. I will now ask Deputy Director General Amir Weisbrod to present just a taste of the hard evidence against UNRWA. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Foreign Minister. Ambassador Weisbrod, please join us.
Thank you, Minister Sar. Good morning, dear colleagues. In the next 15-20 minutes, I'll try to give you, as the Minister said, a taste of the issue of UNRWA. You will see that it's not, as UNRWA tried to portray, a case of few bad rotten apples, but it's a systematic infiltration. Actually, it's the biggest scandal in UN history in terms of the breach of the principles of neutrality and impartiality, in terms of the scope and magnitude of how many terrorists UNRWA employed and the use of the facilities. Just, if you can pass the next slide. Minister Sar already spoke about this. We are not talking about 1, 2, or 3. We are talking about 1,462 workers from UNRWA employees in Gaza. All of these people are men. If you look at it in terms of UNRWA employs 1,200, 500 people in Gaza, men about 6,000, 6,000 plus. So we are talking about 25% of the personnel in the organization. We are talking about 80 principals and deputy principals who ran schools for military purposes and also used it to radicalize Gaza's youth. We are talking about a breach and the use of UNRWA facilities in terms of tunnels, arms depots, the main data server of Hamas that were located in UNRWA facilities. So the attempt to portray it just as a few rotten bad apples, of course, doesn't tell the real story. But let us, and just going back a little bit, as the minister said, UNRWA knew about it before October 7. We want UNRWA with letters, both about the employment of employees and the use of the facilities. After October 7th, you would think that UNRWA drew the lesson, but instead it was all a cover-up. There were many reviews that were established, but if you will look now at the realities, you'll see what UNRWA really did in practice afterwards and after the warnings given to it after October 7th. But let's go back chronologically. As I said, UNRWA was warned in the years prior to October 7th about the employment of terrorists in its ranks. This is a letter here from December 2011, from the DGG of International Organization at the time, Eviatar Manor, to the Commissioner General at UNRWA at the time, Filippo Grandi, giving the names of 10 terrorists within UNRWA ranks. Some of them Hamas, some of them are PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. If you can see number 8, Ani Kaskin, is written with the ID, and here is the name of Naji Abu Aziz. Now let's see what happened with Naji Abu Aziz and Ibrahim Kaskin. So this is Naji Abu Aziz. As you can see, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. In the left, he is an UNRWA school principal, one of these 80 principals. He runs a Huza preparatory boys' school in Gaza. On the right, what you'll see, and this we presented to the UN, with evidence of Mr. Al-Aziz, this is from captured enemy materials in Gaza that were caught by the ADF, that shows that Mr. Abu Aziz is actually a terrorist in Hamas chemical manufacturing unit. If you look here, you'll see his name and the kind of weapons that he possesses. He possesses a Kalashnikov, he possesses five bombs, and here you can see a document that an internal Hamas document that talks about an article in a website called Gaza Leaks mentioning the scandals of Mr. Abu Aziz and so on. Next slide, please. This is Abu Aziz school, Huza school. As you can see there with the red thing, Abu Aziz used this school, like many other principals of UNRWA, for military purposes. He installed anti-tank weaponry and openings in the school, near the school windows. Next slide, please. Another case that was brought in the 2011 letter, the case of Ibrahim Kaskin. As you can see, this is his number. He's a teacher in UNRWA. But on the right, again, you will see captured enemy materials showing that Mr. Kaskin, this is his own CV that he wrote, that he belongs to Al-Quds Brigades of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Gaza Battalion, mentioning that he works for UNRWA, And on the left, you see a document of the Palestinian Authority intelligence showing that he is a member of Palestinian Islamic Jihad and was questioned by the Palestinian Authority. So in both cases, please, next slide.
Stick to the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Okay. In both cases, you'll see later, Mr. Abu Aziz is still being employed by Gaza. You'll see it later. Actually, it was quite amazing. We got a list from UNRWA about 2 weeks ago. Mr. Aziz is still being employed there, and you will see it. Now about the facilities and assets. You will see here a case of 2 schools that were used by UNRWA schools that were used for Hamas for military purposes. In both schools, and we'll come back to that later, the principals are Hamas military members. First case, this is a case. In both cases, a tunnel was revealed by mistake there. In one case, it was because of a rain. In another case, a child played in the backyard and their foot entered into some kind of a hole, and then they found out there was tunnels. In the first case, 2021, this is a Zaytun preparatory A school there. The tunnel was there in 2021. UNRWA admitted that on a statement on January 21 that the tunnel was there. But surprise, surprise, in 2024, this tunnel is still there. By the way, this tunnel led to the main data server of Hamas that was under UNRWA headquarters. It was part of a network of tunnels. Next slide, please. Another school. This is Marazi Prep B Boys School. The principal is, again, a Hamas activist. The tunnel was found there in 2017. You can see here UNRWA statement. What did UNRWA do about it? Nothing. In 2023, the tunnel is there. The principal is still there. You would expect that UNRWA would at least fire the principal, maybe think of changing the school's location, seal off the tunnel. None of that has happened. Next slide, please. And this is how we got to October 7. In October 7, more than a dozen UNRWA officials participated in the terrible massacre. We will show you a few examples. As the minister said, one of the most shocking cases is the case of Muhammad Abu Watawi. He's a driver in UNRWA. This is his ID. On the right side, you'll see a captured enemy materials from Gaza showing that he went through an ambulance course in the Qassam brigades. Now, the video will speak for itself. Just, please, next slide. On October... So you can see Mr. Abu Watawi here. With the red circle, he participated.
هات كمان هات طف الطفوش مين مصر هذول ما عادش يقتل بالنصره ايوه هات ناس من جوا هات يلا حمل معاه شيل معاه شيل معاه حمل
I think it's enough. You can pass, please. This is the tragic results of this attack. As the minister said, Goldberg Polling was abducted with other 4 people. He was then murdered in Gaza. Fortunately enough, Elia Cohen and Or Levy survived and were released in the latest exchange. But Alon Oil on the left is still in Gaza in the Hamas tunnels. Well, next slide is also quite shocking. This is a social worker of UNRWA, Faisal Ali Naami, who participated with his father in the kidnapping of the body of Yonatan Samarno, an Israeli youngster who went to Nova Party and then tried to find refuge in Kibbutz Be'eri. Unfortunately, the terrorists managed to get hold of him there. And you will see in the next video what Mr. Naami and his dad did. You can pass, please, next slide. As we said, after October 7th, you would expect that UNRWA will draw the lessons. Well, UNRWA tried to portray it as a case of few bad threat and oppos, but we told you the numbers of employments of Hamas terrorists in Gaza exceeds 1,000, almost 500. So I wrote a letter to the Commissioner General of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, and to the Secretary General of the United Nations in July 24. As a sample, we mentioned the names of 100 Hamas activists with their ID, with their military numbers, who are employees of UNRWA. UNRWA did nothing. We showed it to UN officials. I presented it to head of OCHA, to other UN officials. We showed it to donor states. UNRWA did not act upon it. But let's see a few cases out of this 100 list. First case, Mr. Khaled Masri is the principal of one of the schools that you saw before, Marazi Prep B School, who had a tunnel under his school. In the red thing, you will see an HR list of Hamas, and it's mentioned the ID of Mr. Masri and his rank in Hamas, which is a Rakib, a sergeant. Next, please. Another case, another school principal, Mohammed Shawaide, is the principal of this Zaytun school that we showed you, that the tunnel there led to main headquarters of UNRWA and to Hamas data server. Here we have military documents, captured enemy materials of Hamas, showing that he works in combat engineering in Al-Qassam Gaza Brigade. Another example, Ahmad Samir Khatib, he's a deputy school principal in UNRWA, in another Marazi school, Marazi B Boys School, and he's also a squad leader in infantry battalion in Han Yunis Brigade. You can see here documents showing the marks that he got through a military course that he went through. Well, this is what UNRWA did. This is the list that we got 2 weeks ago in April. Donor states forced UNRWA to give Israel the lists of its employees with the IDs. These 3 people, individuals, are still employed by UNRWA as we speak now. It's almost 9 months since we gave the list. These people are still employed. Next. And this is Mr. Abu Aziz, if you remember, the first principal from 2011. The same list in 2024, he is still being employed. And this is, the 100 list. We checked when we got the names last week. 95% out of them are still employed in UNRWA, as we speak, from these 100 people. It's not that the other 5 they disqualified, it's just that they were part of October 7th, so either they died or UNRWA dismissed them. Please. Again, this is the numbers, we already spoke about it. I think something that you should pay attention to, 80% out of these people work in the education system. And then people tell us that UNRWA needs to provide education. You can imagine what kind of education UNRWA provides. And as I said, 15%, and it's only men, so probably the number is higher because you have also females working on Hamas and in UNRWA, and now we are really researching this. So the number is probably higher than 15% of principals and deputy principals. Now, post-October 7, the UN needs to guard the neutrality of its installations and to report about every breach of its installations. Now, let's see what they did. On the left, it's a very famous case. It's the main tunnel that led to the main data server of Hamas. Now, of course, UNRWA knew about this because the electricity was supplied from the main UNRWA headquarters above in Gaza. Also, the parking lot in this place started sinking a few years ago, which is always a sign for a tunnel. UNRWA never checked this. So this is the main data server of Hamas under UNRWA headquarters. Next one, which is quite shocking, please. This shows you Hamas personnel were in black entering a UNRWA compound. You will see the UNRWA guard with the blue vest. He allows them to enter there and to take the vehicles of the UN. By the way, from the war, when UNRWA says that it's drawing lessons and that they're implementing the Colonnade report, the UN is supposed to report to Israel about every breach of neutrality of installations. Do you think they reported to us on this? We didn't have even one case during the war that the MFA or COGAT was alerted. Other organizations do. The World Central Kitchen did when it employed employees. And this is the UN, and this is the guard there in blue, and this is them taking the UN cars that are being used for terror purposes. Do you think that they notified us? Of course not. As the minister said, the responsibility goes beyond UNRWA. It goes to the Secretary General itself. I want to show you one of the most amazing things in this presentation. Please, next slide. If you remember Mr. Atewi, the driver who killed and participated in the kidnapping of Ersh Goldberg, Paul Hernandez, he was killed by Israel in October 24th. And this is what the SG had to say about Mr. Atewi. Instead of looking who is Mr. Atewi, he blamed Israel for killing a humanitarian worker. Maybe you'll come back there. I just want to... This is a reminder for him who's Mr. Atewi, that he defended his colleague. Okay?
Maybe you can read the tweet.
And this is, again, he's still employed. This is a list we got in April by UNRWA. Mr. Abu Atewi, you can see him in yellow, still employed by UNRWA, despite the fact that we sent it in the 100 list, despite the fact that it was over my Twitter, despite the fact that the New York Times published a big story about this. He's being employed. It's a pay for slave. His family gets money. Please. And this is also quite amazing. Israel, when we had the October 7th, the UN, the Secretary General established an investigation. We sat here in this building for hours on each case, showing them intelligence. We asked to see the report. This is what the SG disclosed to Israel. These are the cases of the 12 individuals involved in October 7th, and this is what we call UN transparency. Maybe another time, because it's quite shocking.
What reason did they give for redacting?
They didn't say. This is what you... And we had to beg to get it. There were countries who got it before Israel did. Donors. We didn't. And this is what we got. Okay? Now, maybe to wrap up before I hand it back to Minister Saar on the question, a lot of member states did draw the lessons. The US defunded UNRWA. Sweden, when they saw this, defunded. Italy, all of them passed the humanitarian assistance through other organizations, and we cooperate with these organizations. The Netherlands have reduced, and others are also thinking in this way. Maybe the bottom line, as Minister Saar said, the one who should stand in court in The Hague is the UN and UNRWA, because they completely breached the principles of neutrality and impartiality. I'm always being reminded as Deputy Director General for International Organization that the UN has privileges and immunities. Yes, but the UN has obligations too. This organization, the UNRWA betrayed its organization. The Secretary General betrayed the principles of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Weisbord.